You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey on WGSO990AM in NOLA. Welcome to the program. Trey Roberts here, and Chris is on vacation, so this will be a solo edition of the Battlefield Live. Our number here at WGSO990AM is the same as always, area code 504-556-9696. So this is the first time that we're having a chance to talk since Indiana on Tuesday, and of course, where Donald Trump is now the presumptive nominee. This will kind of be a continuation of our yesterday show. So if you didn't get a chance to hear our show yesterday, make sure you go to lanterns.buzz and click on the archives to hear, download, or you can go to Spreaker podcast. Spreaker, you can go to Stitcher, you can go to SoundCloud, iTunes, wherever you like to get your podcasts and archives from, you can do that there. So yesterday we talked a little bit about Andrew Breitbart in 2011, saying, of course, Donald Trump is not a conservative. He was for Nancy Pelosi before he was against Nancy Pelosi. But the key to that statement was Andrew Breitbart said, you've got to understand that in America, celebrity is everything. And he was talking especially to those household names within the Beltway that pretty much the rest of the country didn't know, people who were lingering around 2 and 3% going into the 2012 election season. That if you don't understand the fundamental transformation that came about from Barack Obama and how he played the media in 2008 to become this rock star of a candidate, that the Republican Party would end up doing the same exact thing. It didn't happen in 2012. We got Mitt Romney. That was a disaster. But hell, Mitt Romney looks like a staunch conservative compared to the presumptive nominee right now, the Hillary Clinton donor, Donald Trump. So that being the case, let's talk a little bit about that. I also predicted, we played a video, we played some audio from April of 2011. We tried to launch a program called Project 2/3, where we said, hey, people, hey, woohoo, over here, you not paying attention. Get away from this whole idea of electing presidents like it's American freaking Idol. Or some kind of survivor reality show where you can, at the end of each debate, you can text in your favorite phone number to whichever candidate you want to vote off the island. That's not what the founders intended. That's not first principles. That's not how our government's supposed to work. So get your focus off of that and pay attention to where your power resides, American people. You call yourself we the people. So where's your power? Your power resides in the House of Representatives. It's where your money is. It's where your money is spent. Get focused on electing down the ballot candidates. Pay attention to those guys because they're the check. They're the ones who write the bills that become the laws. They're the ones who override presidential agendas. They're the ones who can then write legislation that overcomes unconstitutional executive orders and executive regulations. Thanks to the progressive era and progressives of the early 20th century, like Hillary Clinton ascribes herself to be like John McCain ascribes himself to be like, we have the 17th Amendment. The founders didn't want us electing our senators, but guess what? Our senators now, the entire Senate, they are now beholden to partisan politics. They do what's best for the Republicans or they do what's best for the Democrats, and they don't do what's best for the state that they represent. But we can overcome that, can't we? We can overcome that. 504-556-9696. So here's what I want. I want to know from Trump supporters, all you Trumpkins out there, here's what I want to know. How does it feel that within 24 hours of Ted Cruz dropping out and then that scumbag John Kasich dropping out, only being in the race to dilute the anti-Trump vote so that Cruz wouldn't pick up more of the vote and it wouldn't become a real one-on-one battle. That's the only assumption that you can make because he got out the very next day that Cruz got out, even though he's still running fourth at the time in a three-man race. I mean, how bad do you have to suck as a candidate to run fourth out of three? But we'll save that one for later. That's not even the main thing for today. But just know that the Republican establishment that all you Trumpkins claim to loathe and the outsider, I will grant you the fact that Trump is an outsider if you'll admit that the only reason he's a Republican outsider is because he's been a staunch Democratic supporter. He's been a part of the DNC establishment. And I want your reaction to, what if Anderson Cooper or Andrea Mitchell or or any of these journalists, maybe it'll be Megyn Kelly, who knows? Whoever gets the first shot at a Hillary Trump debate, the moderator looks over to Hillary Clinton and says, Secretary Clinton, can you just give us your reaction to what is it like for you right now, knowing that you're voting for, or you're running against one of your donors? Can you tell us what that's like? 504-556-9696. And within 24 hours, it didn't even take 24 hours of Donald Trump becoming the presumptive Republican nominee, Trump had already reversed the positions that you like, Trumpkin. The position on tax increases, he reversed that. He's okay with increasing taxes. Trumpkins, you thought he was interested in paying down the debt, didn't you, Trumpkins? Well, no, he reversed that. He's not interested in paying down the debt. Hey, Trumpkins, you liked him because, he wasn't going to raise the minimum wage to $15. Like, feel the burn, Bernie Sanders. Trumpkins, he's okay with raising the minimum wage. And you told me he couldn't be bought because he's self-financing his campaign. Hey, Trumpkins, he's taking money now. What you gonna do, Trumpkins, when Donald Trump flip-flops all over you? Oh, Trumpkins, give me a call. Area code 504-556-9696. I want to hear from you. Do you even know this? Give me a call. This is Trey Roberts sitting in for Chris and Trey on the Battlefield Live on WGSO990AM. Don't go anywhere.
We're here to fix the machine.
WGSO 990 AM here in New Orleans. You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey. Chris is on vacation, living La Vida Loca somewhere on a beach with his wife. I've seen some pictures on Facebook, and I know my compadre, he's over there having a blast somewhere, sipping on fruity drinks, probably something that has a little bit of an edge to it, and they're having a blast, so hopefully he's doing that and having a good time. He'll be back in the studio next week. Just real quick, if you've not been to our website, go check us out. Go to lanterns.buzz today. Lanterns.buzz. We write there. All of our show content is there. Lanterns.buzz. You can also see some of the other talent on our radio network, the Lanterns Radio Network. For any of our archives, go to battlefield.buzz. You can catch us on Spreaker. If you go to Spreaker.com, The Battlefield, you can follow us there, help us get on iHeartRadio. Also, if you go to Facebook, just go to facebook.com/LanternsBuzz, and on Twitter, at LanternsBuzz. You can follow Chris at PaulRevere.com, Paul Revere again, and you can follow me at TRobRadio. All right, so it took 24 hours. 24 hours, Trumpkins. And he reversed 4 or 5 major positions. And then the cherry, if you will, the cherry on top of all of that was Trump. What is it even the fact that Trump said he didn't believe that Rafael Cruz helped Lee Harvey Oswald kill JFK? I mean, it wasn't the fact that he admitted that bothered me. It was the point that Donald Trump was running around telling everybody that because Ted Cruz took out a loan against his own assets with Goldman Sachs, that somehow or another he was owned by Goldman Sachs. And as a host on this radio station would put it, he was owned by the globalist. The globalist. And Donald Trump, within 48 hours, does everything that I mentioned before the break. But then he also comes out and he hires on Thursday Stephen I don't know how you say his name, Mnuchin, a former partner at Goldman Sachs. Now, but this guy, he only worked for Goldman Sachs for like 17 years. So it's not like, well, I don't know what it's like. The other thing is that this guy donated to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. So clearly, this guy is a Tea Party conservative, if I've ever seen one. And he's going to serve as Donald Trump's national finance chairman. Oh, but it gets better. He also worked as an investment professional for the Soros Fund Management, LLC. It's just a little hedge fund that you may have heard of. It's a firm run by George Soros, you know, the billionaire Democratic donor. And he only sends millions of dollars to pro-Hillary Clinton PACs, you know, during this election cycle. That's Donald Trump 48 hours after he didn't have any competition or anyone to hold him accountable. Now, I'm going to hold the numbers. I'm going to hold the numbers till after this phone call because we're going to go to Ben right now. Ben in Metairie on line 1. Ben, welcome to the Battlefield Live with Trey.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, brother.
It's actually Ken in Metairie.
Oh, hey, Ken.
I am neither, Trey, I'm neither a Trump nor a Hillary fan.
All right, so you're never Marxist. Is that correct?
I don't want to put any words in my mouth.
All right.
But my question, and I think you need to educate the radio audience, is Trump a shoo-in to become the Republican candidate? If not, why? But also, if Trump does end up becoming the Republican candidate, who are you going to vote for? Are you going to go to a third party? Can you just explain how you see all this stuff?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Do you want to hear that off air or you want to stay with me?
If you could educate your public now, it'd be great.
Okay, no, that's fine. So here's a couple of things. First thing is that Donald Trump currently holds 41% of all pledged delegates so far. Okay, so he still isn't. The reason that people are saying that he's the presumptive nominee because in these last couple of races in the next month and a half before we get to Cleveland, it's presumed that he's going to get the additional 220 or so delegates and get to the magic number of 1237. So I guess I don't believe this to be the case, but I guess in some people's eyes, there's an outside chance that because Trump has flip-flopped so massively since Indiana, in less than 7 days from Indiana and everybody else dropping out of the race, that there could be like a protest vote. And you could see people vote for just basically anybody else than Donald Trump because they feel like he has flip-flopped to the center, he has tacked left, whatever analogy that you want to use. So, but I personally believe he'll get to the 1237. If not from California, these next couple of races, California ought to put him in officially. If it doesn't, then we still have an open convention, and who knows what that's going to be like. I mean, nobody's really that had anything to say with the last time we had one. I don't think any of those people are even still alive. That last time was, I think, during the Eisenhower selection days or whatever. So we're talking 1950s, okay? Second of all, if you understand that right now, there have been 26.7 million Republican votes cast during this election cycle. 16.7 of those have been cast against Donald Trump or for someone other than Donald Trump. So here comes the question. I'm listening. I'm open. I don't support Donald Trump. I'm listening, and I want to see. He's going to have to earn my vote over the next month and a half. I sure as heck don't want Hillary Clinton. And I am of the simplistic belief that if you don't vote or if you vote third party, or I'm of the belief that if you vote for Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton's going to win. And if you don't vote for Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton's going to win. So I kind of think she's a shoe-in anyway, because you got to ask yourself this. Who can Donald Trump carry besides angry white guys? And there's not enough angry white guys in America for him to carry that's going to put him over the top. He can't win Latinos. He's not going to win the black vote. He's not going to win the female vote. Democrats are not going to vote for him. So, and look at Hillary's numbers. Hillary, there's almost 10 million of the 22.3 million voters that Hillary's done that have been cast for Democrats that have voted for somebody other than Hillary. So you've got two of the most disliked candidates. And like one prominent pastor told me earlier this week, you're a fool if you think there's any difference between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. So where does that leave us, Ken? It leaves us in a place where we have to hope that Donald Trump will do something, that he'll put out a list of his Supreme Court nominees, that he picks a conservative running mate like John McCain did with Sarah Palin at the time, or something like that. That's our hope that gets the other 60% of the Republican Party on board with Donald Trump. But that's up to Donald Trump. Thank you, Ken, for the phone call. We appreciate it. And if you want to be a part of the program like Ken, you can give us a call at 504-556-9696. Trumpers, what you going to do? Let me know what you're going to do now that you find out that Trump has flip-flopped on everything you liked about him. WGSO990 AM. This is the Battlefield Live with Trey. Be right back. Don't go anywhere.
We're here to fix the machine.
Welcome back to the Battlefield Live here on WGSO 990 AM. Trey Roberts, Chris Pilier on vacation. Pay a couple of bills here real quick. If you need any help whatsoever with your website presence, you need a website that when people go to nowadays, social media and website presence is everything. Nobody travels down to anyone's business or place of business anymore. They go to see where you are on the internet and what your presence looks like on what it looks like basically on the internet. So if you need some help with a website, you need some integration between your social media and start attracting different types of people, go check out Vast Virtual Solutions, vastvirtualsolutions.com. And if you need help with social media, check out the folks over at GoDay Media. If you go to goday.media, you can get with Rob and Melissa. They took our social media of about 2,000. We had about 2,000 friends, likes, followers, whatever you want to call them, between Facebook and Twitter. And we're up over 50,000 just within the last 6, 7, 8 months or so. So they've really helped us out tremendously with our social media presence to help with the following, the advertising, the marketing of what we do here on Lanterns.Buzz and the Battlefield Live. And if you need any kind of professional promotional products or corporate swag, anything that's if you've got a logo and it needs to get on a product that you think would be great for advertising, go check out DH Promotions. DH Promotions, and they have a solution for all your promotional products and corporate swag specialists. And all these companies are based here out of Louisiana. So it's a local business, 3 local businesses doing really, really great things. All right, let's get back to what we were talking about here. And so we're looking at all of these GOP voters that have voted basically against Donald Trump. And the last part of Ken's question before we had to go to break was, who am I going to vote for? At this point, I still don't know. Is that fair, Ken? I don't know. Because at this point, I can't vote for the Hillary donor, and primarily because of my personal beliefs, but I also, for almost the same exact reason, can't vote for Hillary Clinton. Marxism, to me, is antithetical to my biblical Christian worldview. Now, I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those guys who tries to vote according to who I think best lines up with Scripture, with a godly lifestyle. Have I been duped in the past by people who have run as the best thing since sliced bread, run as some sort of evangelical Messiah savior? Yeah, maybe not as bad as the Obama people, but sure, there's always going to be those people there because power is inoculating. It's very seductive, and these people get around major power and major money, And it almost seems like you have to absolutely compromise or lose your soul to get anything done. House somebody, which is part of the reason why I admire a guy like Ted Cruz, who runs in Texas and says, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand on the Constitution. I'm going to do things that are constitutional, fight against things rather that are unconstitutional. And he used every single power that he had as an individual senator to do just that in the little bit of time that he's had in government. And before that, as an attorney and solicitor general, fighting for things like religious liberty and, in front of the Supreme Court and doing these things and having a good track record. And so it makes it more frustrating. But to me, Ken, to conclude your question before we move on, it's up to now Donald Trump. Donald Trump's first step after becoming the presumptive nominee was to do things that are liberal. As soon as there was no one to contrast him from a conservative right-wing standpoint, he immediately goes out and does exactly what he had criticized every other of the 17 candidates that ran on the Republican side that ran for the nomination. He hires a Goldman Sachs, George Soros, Hillary donor to run his campaign, and even goes even further. His new hire that he did on Thursday as well to be his chief domestic advisor is an establishment Trent Lott guy. He ran for this guy, I forget his name. I can look it up at the next break or whatever, but he was the chief of staff for Trent Lott and other establishment Republicans. Bob Dole comes out and supports Trump because, Trump's not the establishment insider. Now, Ken, let me give you I don't think it's a conspiracy theory, but I'm going to give you my opinion about something. I staunchly believe that the Republican Party is simply, as it is constituted today, which to me is a center-left Republican Party. If you're a conservative or libertarian in the Republican Party, you are absolutely the minority in terms of the power structure. Now conservative and libertarian-leaning ideology is a contrast. It's a bold contrast because the Republican Party is basically a Democrat light, and the Democrat Party is, if not full-blown socialist, borderline communist. So everything has tacked hard left over the last 15, 20, 30 years. And so the Republican Party is been drugged behind, if you will, and that's where they are today. So they don't have ideas that sound different than the Republican Party. So you know what's easy to do? Here's what's easy to do. Get elected, get inside the Beltway, get into the big insiders club, the good old boys club, and just be the party of opposition. If something's so bad, think about what Paul Ryan did. Paul Ryan is the best example of that. Everybody thought Paul Ryan was a conservative. Paul Ryan, when he was Mitt Romney's vice president, ran as this ultra-conservative from Wisconsin. He becomes Speaker of the House. First thing he does is adds $1.1 trillion, one swipe of the pen, one vote, $1.1 trillion and funds Planned Parenthood, funds all of these other unconstitutional executive amnesty, does all of these things. That's what Paul Ryan does. And then comes back and starts acting like he's the conservative stalwart of the party or something. So this is what they do. They don't have any ideas. Conservatism is the only place where other ideas exist. So the Republican Party doesn't want conservatives. You know what they did? They threw a bunch of establishment candidates to prevent Ted Cruz from becoming the nominee. And at a time when they didn't think that the celebrity and the reality show guy who really never wanted to become the nominee to begin with, talking about Donald Trump. Once he had so much, he ran a nationalist campaign that he began to win in the polls, and we see him now with 41% of the vote. Of the delegates, he's about to become the nominee of the GOP. Now they realize, hey, you know what? That's the best case for getting Hillary Clinton elected. So we're going to support him, and it's pretty much a guarantee Hillary gets elected if Donald Trump is the nominee, which it looks like he will be. 504-556-9696. Let's go back to the phone line. And an old buddy, James from Atlanta, a.k.a. The Flaming Liberal. Flaming Liberal, how have you been, sir? I haven't talked to you since our WSLA 1560 AM days.
Really? Well, I'm well, thank you. By the way, it's David. David Bell.
David! Sorry, David. Sorry.
By the way, before we talk politics, you have a couple of sponsors that seem to have much more technical know-how than I do. I'm totally blind. I use a computer with screen reader software.
Correct.
But I've written a novel that I'd like to get online, maybe at Amazon.com as a digital download. And,
yeah, like Audible.com?
I'm sorry?
Like Audible.com?
Well, whatever. I'm wondering if one of your sponsors could, be willing to work with me to get my novel online. And by the way, if you'd like to read it, there's a 24-page synopsis online at theflamingliberal.blogspot.com. Now, it's a romance novel. It's a little racy, but I think it's the best romance novel, in my opinion, ever written. It's a memoir of an office affair.
I never took you as a romantic.
Well, I like writing.
Okay.
And I am a romantic devil.
Well, devil being the key word. What you got for me today?
Well, the more Donald Trump opens his mouth, the more I think he hurts himself. Now,
really? You think?
Well, of course. Now, today or yesterday, he was talking about Bill Clinton's, alleged dalliances. Now, in his book, The Art of the Deal, he wrote that he had sex with the wives of some of his best friends. So he's opening himself up for an attack, and he could be accused of being one of the biggest hypocrites to come down the pike.
Yeah, but is that really going to matter? Because this is this campaign, David, will be a campaign of personalities. Who will ultimately have the biggest personality? Right? Will it be the Clinton persona, or will it be the Trump persona? I mean, this will be the biggest Jerry Seinfeld campaign America has ever seen. The great campaign about nothing. Right?
Well, no, I disagree. There's a lot of important issues. Now, you said the Democrats are socialistic or communistic. Do you have parents or relatives who receive Medicare and Social Security? I'm 67 years old. I receive Medicare and Social Security. I don't know how I could live without it. And, Trump,
well, whose fault is that?
I'm sorry?
Whose fault is that?
Well, that's a long discussion. But, look, but by the way,
we don't have that much time, but my point is,
I'm not totally dependent. Look, I have a union pension that I worked for years and I earned, and I have a portfolio.
Well, see, doesn't it help to give all the information out there?
Okay, well, I'm giving all the information out. Now, Trump is mean-mouthing Bill Clinton, but I think people are much more concerned about what can we do to make Medicare and Social Security solvent for the next generation or two. And Donald Trump's solution is to clean up the waste, fraud, and abuse. The Washington Post said there's been studies done on this, and if you would clean up...
Is that a good solution?
Well, if you would clean up the waste, fraud, and abuse, it wouldn't amount pretty much to a hill of beans. So Trump has no answer to the problem.
I don't disagree.
You don't? Oh, good. Okay. So, and, many of his other ideas, like there was an article in the Picayune a few weeks ago out of the Port of New Orleans, and I worked for steamship companies in New Orleans for several years.
That's amazing.
I'm sorry?
No, I said that's amazing.
What's amazing?
No, that you have worked all over different areas and places like that.
Well, I was the union shop steward. We had an AFL-CIO union, the Office of Professional Employees. I was the union shop steward for the largest steamship company in New Orleans. And I never lost a worker, a grievance, or election. I took a penny from my union, had the local president removed, and I could have been crippled or killed for that.
Well, David, listen, you keep me sharp, and I appreciate you calling.
But I wanted to say more about how important trade is.
Well, we'll talk about that. Listen, we'll hear every Saturday, so don't neglect to call. You keep us sharp, and we appreciate you. So thank you for the phone call.
Have a nice weekend.
That was the Flaming Liberal, ladies and gentlemen. This is Trey Robertson. This is the Battlefield Live on WGSO 990 AM. We'll be right back.
We're here to fix the machine.
The Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey back on WGSO 990 AM. Thank you, Rudy, for the bumper music. We promise we're going to get you some stuff so you can program it for us. Hey, go to Facebook and type in Lanterns Buzz. Also tap in Battlefield Live, and you can like us there on Facebook. And then also you can go to Twitter, Type in Lanterns Buzz, and you can follow us on Twitter. Follow me at TRob Radio, and follow Chris at Paul Revere again. Area code 504-556-9696. Any Trumpaloompas out there that want to help me out? I'm part of the 60. I'm part of the hashtag GOP60. If you don't know what that is, that's the 60% of Republicans that have voted in the primary against Donald Trump. So help me out. Why should I vote for Donald Trump when now he's got 5 positions since Indiana that line up almost identically with the 2 candidates running for the Democratic nomination? Who do I vote for now? I tried to get, and we may still do so, 7 o'clock on the Lanterns Radio Network, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. If you go there, you can listen to Chris and I. We actually broadcast 5 days a week as another station here in the New Orleans area. But Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're online at Lanterns Radio. If you go to radio.lanterns.buzz, you can check out the show there at 7 p.m. But we're going to be reaching out to Senator Ben Sasse. Ben Sasse has been in the news, and he wrote an open, this is just a couple of days ago, an open letter to majority of America. And who is he talking about? He's talking about to those who think that both leading presidential candidates are dishonest and have little chance of leading America forward. I don't know anybody who thinks that Hillary Clinton is going to lead America forward. I really don't know very many people who think, at least in the circles that I run in, that think that Donald Trump can actually lead America forward. So we're talking to the majority of America right now. Now, if you're one of those rare souls who genuinely believe that Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump are honorable people, or if they are the role models that you want for your kids, then what I'm about to read to you is not for you. So you could just, I don't know, you can just turn off and go listen to, some elevator music on 102.9 or something. I don't know. But this letter that I'm about to read, this is for the majority of Americans who wonder why that the nation, America has, that the nation that has allegedly put a man on the moon, allegedly, can't find a healthier leader who can take us forward together. So here we go. Number 1, Washington isn't fooling anyone. Neither political parties work. They bicker like children about tiny things, and yet they can't even identify the biggest issue we face. They're like a couple arguing about what color to paint the living room, and meanwhile, their house is on fire. They resort to character attacks as step 1 because they think voters are too dumb for a real debate. They often prioritize the agendas of lobbyists, for whom many, by the way, for whom many eventually will go and work for. And by the way, they'll work for these lobbyists over the urgent needs of mainstream America. There's a lot of people that signed up for the party of Abraham Lincoln. And I don't know if you're going to help reform and restore the GOP, but there are a lot of people who are desiring that. But let's tell the plain truth that right now, both parties lack vision. Number 2, this is Senator Ben Sasse, by the way. As a result, normal Americans don't like either party. If you ask Americans if they identify as Democrat or Republican, almost half of the nation interrupts to say neither. Number 3, young people despise the two parties even more than the general electorate. And why shouldn't they? The main thing that unites most Democrats is being anti-Republican. The main thing that unites most Republicans is being anti-Democrat. No one knows what either party is for anymore, but almost everyone knows neither party has any solutions for our problems. Unproductive doesn't begin to summarize how messed up this is. Number 4, our problems are huge right now. But one of the most obvious is that we've not passed along the meaning of America to the next generation. And if we don't get them to re-engage, thinking about how we defend a free society in the face of global jihadis, or how we balance our budgets after baby boomers have dishonestly overpromised for decades, or how we protect First Amendment values in the face of the safe space movement, then all will have indeed lost. One of the bright spots with the rising generation, though, is that they really would like to rethink the often knee-jerk partisanship of their parents and grandparents. We should encourage this rethinking. Number 5, these two national parties are enough of a mess that I believe they will come apart. It might not happen fully in 2016, and I'll continue fighting to revive the GOP with ideas, but when people's needs aren't being met, they ultimately find other solutions. Number 6, in the history of polling, we've basically never had a candidate viewed negatively by half of the electorate. This year, we have 2. In fact, we now have the 2 most unpopular candidates ever. Hillary by a little and Trump by miles, including now 3 out of 4 women who vote more and influence more votes than men. There are dumpster fires in my town more popular than these 2 leaders. This is an open letter from Senator Ben Sasse out of Nebraska. Number 7, with Clinton and Trump, the fix is in. Heads they win, tails you lose. Why are we confined to these 2 terrible options? This is America. If both choices stink, we reject them and go bigger. That's what we do. Number 8, our founders didn't want entrenched political parties, so why should we accept this terrible choice? Number 9, so let's have a thought experiment for a few weeks. Why shouldn't America draft an honest leader who will focus on 70% solutions for the next 4 years? You know, an adult. Now, 2 notes real quick for reporters. Anybody in the media. Such a leader should be able to campaign 24/7 for the next 6 months. Therefore, he or she is likely can't be engaged, like an engaged parent with little kids. And although I'm one of the most conservative members of the Senate, I'm not interested in the ideological purity test, because even a genuine consensus candidate would almost certainly be more conservative than either of the 2 dishonest liberals now leading the 2 national parties. Number 10, imagine if we had a candidate who hadn't spent his or her life in politics, either buying politicians or being bought. Imagine if we had a candidate who didn't want to stitch together a coalition based on anger, but wanted to take the whole nation forward. Imagine if we had a candidate who pledged to serve for only 1 term as a caretaker problem solver for this messy moment. Imagine if we had a candidate who knew that Washington isn't competent to micromanage the lives of free people, but instead wanted to serve by focusing on 3 or 4 big national problems, such as national security for the age of cyber and jihad, honest budgeting, entitlement reform so that we stop stealing from future generations, C, empowering states and local governments to improve K-12 education, and letting Washington figure out how to update federal programs to adjust to now needing lifelong learners in an age where folks are obviously not going to work at a single job for a lifetime anymore. And D, retiring career politicians by ending all the incumbency protections, the special rules, the revolving door opportunities for folks who should be public servants and not masters. This really shouldn't be this hard. Ben Sasse goes on to say that the oath that I took is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. In brief, what that means is I'm for limited government. And there's no reason to believe that either of these 2 national frontrunners believe in limiting anything about DC's power. And it goes on. Just go to Ben Sasse and you can just check out the rest of it. Hashtag we can do better. Hashtag give us more choices. To Ken's question in the very beginning, this is part of what I'm looking for over the next 5 or 6 weeks before Cleveland. What's going to come out from Donald Trump to earn my vote? I'm part of the hashtag GOP60. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. I don't know if this is the vote. This is the cycle that I abstain from voting. I've never abstained from voting since I've been 18 years old. I've never done that before. I don't know. Is this the time where I go vote third party, knowing that probably helps elect Hillary Clinton? I don't know. I don't want to think that. I don't want to believe that. I know it's probable. I'm hopeful that whoever's running as the Republican nominee, be it Donald Trump or anybody else, that they can do something that can appeal to the things that I've just read in Ben Sasse's, in his open letter to America and to the majority of Americans. He's not just talking to Republicans. So that being said, again, go check us out at lanterns.buzz. Go check us out on Facebook. Just basically, if you just Google search hashtag lanternsbuzz, you can find pretty much everything that Chris and I do and all of our schedules, all of our letters, all of our articles that we write, pretty much anything and everything that we do on all of our stations. Thank you so much to WGSO990AM. We are really glad to be a part of the family here at 990 AM and glad to be a part of what they're doing. To get the truth out there. That's what Chris and I started the Battlefield Live, and that's what we started Lanterns.buzz for. The original corporate name, if you will, was lanternsofliberty.us. We just want to illuminate the truth. And we hope that every Saturday you'll join us from 4 to 5 p.m. round thereabout, where we can help you to see the truth by illuminating the truth. Check us out at lanterns.buzz today, lanterns.buzz. For Chris Pelia, I'm Trey Roberts. This has been the Battlefield Live. We'll see you next week. Same time, same station.